Hello YouTube, we're back with some more of these account reviews, and this is going to leave you a little bit confused, but hopefully once we explain what the heck's going on, things make a little more sense. When people play Idle Heroes, not everyone plays it as you traditionally expect. They're not trying to do well at the game with everything at their disposal. Sometimes they put limitations on themselves. Some choose for free to play. Others choose to go ahead and ban heroes entirely, like I did on the Diamond series with Eloise. She's not allowed. Others choose to limit themselves to classes of heroes, or maybe heroes in particular. What we have here is Vampire, whose account is aimed around building a team which resolves strictly around assassins and mages, with the added challenge of being completely free to play and using Saja as a hero to focus your attention. This is pure spice. First thing I noticed about this is you have the comeback growth plan. This is very clever. If you bond this account with a spender and they spend money, that bond allows gems to be added to the account. Very smart. Also, you'll get all the comeback privileges as well from being a player that just can get themselves a fun bunch of rewards. And considering this account is already entirely messed up, as you can see, it's actually quite a smart decision. On top of this, we have ourselves a collection of absolutely lackluster heroes and ticks and Faithblade, but Faithblade's still pretty bad. We have a Void 3 Faithblade, no artifact, I assume, so that's I can see what we've got. We've got a Glittery Crown, Glittery Punisher. Okay, we can break that down in a little more detail. We've got ourselves Crit Great Attack, full of Resonance Armor. Okay, how far have you gone in Seal Land with this? I'm very curious to know. 18, okay, yeah, I did it with a Void 4, so you're not quite at that point. Yeah, I also think I had a Splendid Punisher of Immortal, so yeah, you're not quite there. You also need a bunch of Michelles. You've got 1, 2, you got 3 Michelles. You're thinking about another Faithblade? Really? You want to go double Faithblade? Oh boy, okay. And one thing that's funny for an account like this, where's your Drake? Well, there he is. But like, it's an assassin team. Why have you not built Rogan and Drake? Like, assassins and mages, I'm just like, give me all the Rogan, give me all the Drake, where's Ithaca? Like, that would have been my total go-to strat. I would have been like, right, Ithaca, make her strong, and we're going to go with Rogan, we're going to go with Drake. And yeah, you can sprinkle in the Faithblade and the Saja later on, but I wouldn't have jumped to them straight away. Also, bring your attention to the Cloud Island. What, you don't own a... Of course you don't own a Void 4, you noob. But yeah, Ithaca, she has some pretty good tenants. I'm pretty certain that Delasium's in there, and he's a mage. Delasium synergizes with Ithaca. Like, it's not a bad pairing, right? Assassin Mage should be really, really good. The one thing you're lacking, though, is one of my favorite early heroes, Ignis, but you're just going to have to suck it and deal with it. And you might see the weird 10 stars here, Faceless and Inosuke. I'm assuming they're food. Inosuke's a ranger and Faceless is crap. So, yeah, they're going to be definitely fed away when you need them. Oh, wow. Even Eloise is going to get fed away because she's a ranger, so she doesn't fit the account. This is here to traumatize people. Tee-hee. That'll make an amazing YouTube short, just feeding an Eloise and watching people cry. Oh, let me do that for you whenever you choose to feed the Eloise. And then we've got a Saja and a Faithblade, which I assume are backup versions of themselves for building, either to help in, I guess, Seal Lands, or you went ahead and built these to maybe... I don't know, be projects in the future. It's a very wide thing to do, to build both. Then again, I guess you're compressing your light food with the Faithblade, which ain't so bad. But yeah, are you just lacking copies of both? I mean, I think you're lacking copies of everything, really. Oh boy, yeah, you are. It's unusual. You quit this account for 6 months, so I don't really have copies of heroes and artifacts. Okay, yep, I'm smelling that one. Why did you build Oberon? This is... I just don't get it. Oberon sucks. Like, he's really bad. Like, back in the day, he was good. Is this just you trying to go ahead and do Oberon cheese? Because you're like, oh, this would be quite cool. Because you're like, Saja cheese, Faithblade cheese, might as well do some Oberon cheese. Bro, you're making a whole cheese board here, dude. Like, I could smell the Stilton from here, and it is not good. Ugh, nasty. But, heck, if you didn't know, Oberon synergizes with himself because he's really the only reliable hero outside of Flora that can twine. And the twine allows him to be boosted. Whenever an enemy is twined, he's going to give himself healing, give himself more attack, and then poison enemies. So the poison just stockpiles on itself, his attack increases, and it just becomes unbearably disgusting because the whole time you're twined and you can't move. Now, that became a lot less potent when Purify came out, but before it did, oh boy. Wow. Heroes were just dropping to Oberon. He was super duper good. And yeah, it's special. It's special. And honestly, if you just want to jump on the train of pure filthy cheese, consider Mim. He's a mage. Don't actually, please. It's a terrible idea. But if you really want to give it a spin, you might as well give it a spin because this is a free-to-play account, which is completely a nonchalant throwaway. I don't really care too much. So do strange things, experiment with them, and have a good time, right? You can't punish a person for having a good time. That's what this account is. It's for the funsies, not for the I'm a skilled player. So yeah, I appreciate it. And in fact, you could say there is some skill to giving yourself the limitation of assassin and mage. Like I said at the start though, this is not the approach. These should not be the heroes you build. Now, let's talk about things that are going to help this account in the immediate future. You got attack, holy damage. Drop on this not Echo of Death, but instead a glittery Punisher of Immortal. Do you have any mage armor? Dude, get some mage armor and put it here on Tix. Just give him this little bottom one down here. The reason it's the bottom one and not this one is this gives crit damage, and Tix already has incredible crit, so you don't need to improve that. His crit is going to be sitting at this point at 65%. When you go ahead and add the 40% that you will get from Aspen Dungeon, he's already more than enough going to crit every attack. So if you want to go ahead and do Aspen Dungeon Death, which you might even get a spin at pretty soon, yeah, I'm not going to, yeah, you're not even on the leaderboard, never mind. But if you were to go ahead and try and do Aspen Dungeon Death, you should do it with the Tix, with Imprints, and Punisher of Immortal. In fact, you have Void 3 on the Faith Blade. It's totally possible. You could take this away and you can shove it on a Tix and off you go. Death 100, man. That should be one of your immediate goals. As for your other artifacts, I guess Energy Feed is huge. Energy Feed, Demon Bells, anything like that is going to allow your assassins to pop off. By adding in Rogans, it gets ridiculous. Drake is really good for that as well. And just giving them active skills so that you burst early and aggressively, you will be able to just wipe through teams by outspeeding them and doing a lot of damage. Or at least you would do if it was 2018 or 2019 or 2020, but it is none of those years, and to be fair, Rogan only came out in 2020, so really it was a 2020 strat, but assassins were doing some pretty silly stuff at some point because of that strat. So shoving a Rogan up a Faith Blade's backside is actually a really good way to get him to burst. And I will think that that's going to be Saja's strength as well. If you want double Saja, Rogan is a strong consideration. Although you did say you were idle for a good period of time, so you weren't really picking up hero copies. That said, you do have 5 Rogans, so a 10-star Rogan could definitely be on the menu. Heck, you could even swap this Faceless to him, but I think that might be a waste of Soul Stones. Weird account. Really, really weird account. So you want to get to Death 100 with Faith Blade? Oh, yes. Oh, my word. So you have just decided to completely ignore the fact you have one of the best Aspen Dungeon clearers and instead do it with a Faith Blade? Bro, you're speaking my language. That's it. That's it, right? If you're in love with someone, why would you do it with anybody else? Do it with the person you love. Facts. And we're going to do it with Faith Blade in the Aspen Dungeon. That's not a weird thing. It's not a sex thing. It's the pure truth. We're going to go in and then we're going to make sure he's the one that does it. Void 4. Yeah. I'd do him a Void 4 in the Aspen Dungeon, that's for sure. So, sounds like a good time. You probably want to get his Punisher of Immortal a little stronger, so maybe increase the size of this by getting it to Splendid, and then you'll really be having a good time in the Aspen Dungeon. So, yeah, that's definitely something that'll, if you're into it, do some decent damage. And damage is good. So, yeah, I think that's a good idea. Another thing about Faith Blade as well, when he gets kills, he gives himself energy. So whenever he clears a wave in Aspen Dungeon, he's going to give himself energy, which means he'll do another active skill. So he's perpetually improving himself. The thing is, though, I would strongly consider putting Tix in as a backup because there is a chance that Faith Blade gets dunked on by something stupid. Maybe a penny takes the better of him. Maybe, I don't know, something stupid like an Oberon manages to just twine him up. I don't know. You can get bad luck. It happens. And then Tix will probably have to come in and save the day. If you don't have to use the Tix, that's brilliant. And if you want to do a pure Faith Blade clear, we're just going to need some more Stellar Shards, and we are close to it. We only need like 1 million more, well, less than 1 million more, and then you'll be able to get Void 4, no problem, off you go. So generally, This is cool. I really like this account. This is really, really fun. It's been a while since I saw a Faithblade do good things, so thanks for reliving? That's not a word. Reliving the pleasures of the VIP series through this account. And yeah, I'd love to see how this actually does with an Awaken on as well, because these never existed when I was trying Faithblade Aspen dungeon clears. So really fun. Now, what Transcendence hero should you go with? Wow, that's a crazy question, because if you're limited to mages and assassins, bro, it's Sword Flash. It's Sword Flash. It's a no-brainer. You go with Sword Flash. Oh, bro. Okay. Is it too stupid to recommend Star Alchemist Holmes Young with his core comboing with Azrael? Because that's hilariously funny, right? Because you could shut down opponents, Azrael will come back and die, and come back and die, and come back and die, and come back and die, keep triggering Alchemist Holmes Young's core, which will shut down people's abilities to use their skills. For an early account, though, I don't think you're going to make the Holmes Young good enough, or the Azrael good enough. But it's a good strat. Heck, you might not even worry about making them good enough, it's just a stupid strategy. Then again, Azrael does like a lot of sublimation to do a good job. Yeah, you don't even have one Transcendence hero. The two of these together and a core is just a bit silly. I think immediately I would just go on the safe side and build Sword Flash, because as a solo Transcendence hero, we have a lot of data on how to do well with her, and I think you might as well take what works. So take her, get a Rogue and get a Drake, and do the things that are definitely doable with a Sword Flash. But then Transcendence is 3 and 2, and that's not how numbers work. You can go ahead with Azrael and maybe even Star Alchemist Holmes Young, maybe Jara. It's up to you. And then you can just get rid of Sword Flash at some point. Who knows? Eos would be fun. Wait, is she She is! She's a mage! Oh, I didn't even think about that. Eos would be really crazy. Now, one quick question. I assume you're allowed to build tenants, even if they don't fit with your category. You're just not allowed to use them. So, I think you should be fine here. Although, bear in mind, Eos's tenants are really awkward. They're pretty strange. So, you are going to have to build weird heroes like Siahu or Natasha. And at this point, that's probably not that great. But then again, Natasha's an assassin, so if that was really something you wanted to do, there you go. It's an option. So, yeah, you could have a good time. And you think Eos could clear a lot of the early game? I mean, if you pumped her up enough, there's a good chance. I mean, people have done it. Typically spenders with more money than sense. And I mean that in the loveliest way possible to my dear friend who has been using a Sun Devour Eos to destroy every single game mode he possibly can. You know who he is. If you don't, he's a guy who's in my guild. And he shares my server. And his account is purely revolved around making this little nutter as powerful as possible. So it's doable, it's been done, and it's been pretty great, but I have to say for a fact, it's probably dangerous. If you try to force it too hard, it might not work as well as you think. This guy does have a lot of money to throw at this Eos. In your case, it's going to require some experimenting. But as I said, you're a free-to-play player. You've got loads of time on your hands to just muck around, experiment, see what works, and there's no problem, right? Because you didn't spend money. So if you do realize that this side account goes tits up and the Eos isn't very good, or whatever hero you choose, like Azrael, doesn't happen to be that great, big sad, oh well, move on. The important thing is, though, you need an anchor hero if you do plan to use Azrael. You need someone who's going to stay alive and live. Maybe you can do that in the form of CC, lock down opponents with the Saja and the Faithblade. Maybe instead you need like a sustainy based hero, but with mages and assassins being typically the squishier of heroes, you might get yourself in a bit of an issue. And Waldeck's an assassin? No, Waldeck's a ranger debot, so Waldeck is not an option here, sadly. He falls into the ranger category, so he's not going to come into play. And yeah, that is that. Vampire, any more questions, thoughts, or feelings? You've mentioned artifacts. I've mentioned demon bells. Melodic strings could be pretty good. Potentially Rudy Scepter, I guess, for CC when you think about heroes like Jara. I don't know how much Antler's Cane is going to help, but I know melodic strings will. And maybe Antler's Cane once you think about getting heroes like Ithaquah in for boss fights. That's a thought. But I would definitely get your Demon Bells in sooner rather than later to have that energy feed and then safely clear things with a Sword Flash if that's something you wanted. And if not, I mean, there's other options available to you, but the Splendid Demon Bells aren't going to be bad because that's only going to help Jara with her active skill. And when you inevitably build her, it's going to improve her active skill and increase her CC chances. So you got a lot of good options. I think it's a pretty fun account. I'm not expecting miracles from this, but I'm expecting interesting feedback as time goes on. And you're going to try a homeowner Faithblade. Now I understand the second Faithblade, because Faithblade is a homeowner tenant person thing for himself, which is pretty strange. But there you go. Anyway, Vampire, absolutely wild account. I want to know how this goes, and I really want to see if you can start getting something together. If we could bring this back on the channel in the future and actually test what you managed to put together within the conditions you've set for yourself. Maybe double Faithblade is insane. Maybe double Saja is crazy. Maybe we could try pushing some Fortress Sealand with double Saja. I know double Saja was a very classic early strategy for doing 21 plus in Fortress Sealand. So don't just quite discredit this account just yet. It might have some stuff left in the tank. That Oberon, though, frightens me because he's not as good as he used to be, but you never know. I might get a message from Vampire saying, Oberon's insane, I've broken him, and he's pretty good. Vampire, it was an absolute pleasure. What a very strange account. And yeah, let me know how it goes, and if you've got any more questions, ask away. If you want to catch more stuff like this or see if this account pops up in the future, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you next time. And happy island.